everybody. How is it going? Welcome, Raiders. Thank you, Jazzy Stars. Welcome, new friends. We are DiscoDoesDnD, and we are here to answer your questions, discuss last week's episode. We unfortunately are missing our darling Blue, but we are so happy to have all of you with us. How's it going, friends? Anthony, Ian, how are you doing?
It is springtime in New York in February. It's
It is
very and beautiful.
It's like 65 degrees, and I'm just like, doo-dee-doo. But then I'm like, wait a second. It's supposed to be bone-chillingly cold right now.
Yeah. Feels like the Twilight Zone. It's really hot here in LA. There's been like multiple heat advisory warnings in the last week or so. So global warming is happening, and it's terrifying.
That's why we play D&D.
Yeah,
from the world.
Escapism. Yay.
Yes, and of course, speaking of escapism, we escaped to last week's episode, which started with Tisryn, your meeting with Millie, the guidance counselor. I want to hear your thoughts on what you expected at your. Oh my God! Look at my wings going on over here. Amazing.
Oh,
what you expected.
Speaking of Tisryn, you want wings? You got wings right there.
And what was your feeling? You know, sitting there, kind of getting grilled by this tabaxi.
So I guess I don't want to go too much into stuff that you don't know yet about Tisryn, but you know that Tisryn has been trained in a monastery, and I think that there's a certain amount of discipline involved in living in a monastery, but I don't think it's not like traditional schoolwork. It's not like the structures are just different. So and a relationship to a mentor, a relationship to like a sort of a sensei is something that is understood by Tisryn, but the rules have not been like very well explained. So I think so many things are confusing to him. So many things. So he's just trying to like hold on.
He's just trying to. He's kind of. I like that you say the rules have not been explained, and I'm thinking like, yeah, you're right. I didn't really explain the rules at all.
No, but I mean the rules of being what it means to be in a school environment. Yeah. To have to, the idea of quote unquote failing. Like if you're in I think the kind of training you get in a monastery is you just keep practicing. Failure is part of your training.
Right.
It's not. There's no punishment for failure.
I have tried to really impart my, I've had plenty of college-esque experiences. I've done it enough, and I've tried to impart my experience of what it's like being at a college institution. And I feel like that feeling of like, wait, I failed, and now like everybody's angry at me and questioning like whether I want to do this or not. I wanted to like put that in the game. So I feel like that was the desired effect of like being like, what? Like, what do you, I don't understand. Like, is that the point of the test,
And then the very literal minded thing of in the conversation, I hope we don't have any more conversations is like, like to process that, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah.
I love that. Well, that brings us to our first question from subscriber Low Sile. Thank you for subscribing, which she submitted through our Discord. Their favorite monster. The question, I forgot to read people's questions. I said, what is your favorite animal last time? But I totally forgot. But this time it's what's your favorite monster, D&D or otherwise. Low Sile's favorite monster is a Shambling Mound, which is a great monster. And
what is that?
Anthony, what is a Shambling Mound?
Shambling Mound is it's like a piece of vegetation that lies in wait. So it could be like a big hunk of swampy ground, or it could be like grassy something or other so it's like camouflaged as that, and then it can leap up out of the vegetation and wallop you with its shambling moundedness. I'm not sure why it's called shambling, because I'm not sure it shambles very much.
That's creepy and mysterious.
Exactly. And kind of gross.
It's like I don't know if you read that comic book Swamp Thing, but I think of it sort of a creature like that, but it doesn't necessarily take humanoid form. But it uses like
it's a shambling mound.
A shambling mound of vegetal stuff.
I see. Thank you for explaining.
Sure.
Low Sile's question, and this is a question that I have as well. Anthony, what is your process for whether or not Tisryn understands a given word or phrase? What goes through your head as you're like, would Tisryn understand this or would he not understand this?
I mean, I don't think it's not something I predetermine. It just seems like things either strike like it has to do with taking things literally.
Yes. Okay.
So it's more like when things are spoken about in any kind of metaphorical manner. That's, I think, inherently quite confusing.
I think that's a really good answer there. About that.
And yeah, like allude when you allude to something and you're not speaking of the thing itself, that kind of stuff makes him feel confused.
All right.
Yeah.
There you go. Was it this episode that you checked in with Lorelai, or was that that was this episode?
Yeah.
So you all checked in with Lorelai, the collector, after meeting with Millie, correct?
Yes.
And they told you that this book of yours was they were able to decipher something saying like, give us dreams, give me dreams, and we will give you yours. What'd you make of that?
Very disturbing. I forgot to ask. I realized afterwards I forgot to ask what language it was in and how it was deciphered. But so you don't tell me because I just forgot.
That's okay. There you go.
I was really like curious as to if Lorelai will be affected by the book or like why. If not, then like why?
Yeah.
Like how are you not affected when like Tisryn's sensei was affected so negatively?
Yeah.
That's mysterious.
I also I really like having a character in this somewhat often silly game who's just like very straightforward and serious and like not joking at all. I find that very fun. I've been listening to Androids and Aliens, which is a Glass Cannon podcast. They play a game called Starfinder, which is like cyberpunk in space kind of RPG, which is really good. And a lot of their characters are very serious robots. So that was sort of what I had in my head for that.
Sure.
So anyway, okay. Anthony, we'll get to that one in a second. Okay. Speaking of NPCs, Carrie, subscriber, thank you for subscribing, asked, Carrie's favorite monster is a Jigglypuff, which I would imagine that meeting a Jigglypuff in real life would be pretty monstrous.
Ian? I don't know do you know what that is?
Oh yeah, Ian know what it is.
It's a type of Pokemon that sings, and like it's kind of like a bard. It is a bard.
It is.
Like when it sings, it sends out this like sonic wave that like destroys its enemies. So
Jigglypuff.
And that is powerful enough to destroy enemies. That little
it lulls them to sleep. It's very bard. Very bard. That's a good funny call. Boy, why do I know Jigglypuff's song just right off the bat?
That was
disturbing.
Amazing. There needs to be a clip of
Frag just was like, somebody clip that, and I'm actually going to delete this whole stream so that this never happens. This is Anthony. I think can be for you as well. But what is the most number? Well, this is actually a great question for you. What is the most number of NPCs you played in one session? Did you want your head to explode?
I believe that, it was, I don't know how many sessions ago it was in our home game. Ian and I played in one night like 30 different NPCs.
30
throughout the night.
Just wild.
You mentioned that, yeah.
It was wild. Because these guys just kept going new places. They just kept like, let's go here. I mean, I had them all. I think I had to make up one on the spot. I had one sort of in mind, but I hadn't quite like fully. I don't go like super detail on all of them, but I have enough like little bullet things. This one was like pretty much pull it out of my head.
And this is like sort of a follow-up question from subscriber Carana. Well, I can read good. Thanks for subscribing. They asked, which I think is a good question, like how do you keep all the voices in your head, or how do you kind of keep them all together?
They're not all. They're not all. I mean, you know.
The truth is revealed.
No, they're not. There's some that are very, very clearly vivid, and then
Yes.
others sort of, you know.
General.
I personally don't want to have like wild Scottish accents and Irish accents and try to do a million English accents, just because that feels like a little, I don't know, for me it feels a little lazy or easy, so I try to do a little other kinds of things. But there's some that I feel really, I have this voice for sure, and then there's others that they're a little more like ish. It's more about I feel like I have their being more than their voices all the time, especially when it's that fast going from one to one.
I feel this. Oh, go ahead, Ian.
I was like, have you ever had a moment where a player was like, "You sound different"?
Oh my god, I feel like that happens to me every session we play together, especially before. Now I can go back and watch, and I was like, because we, you know, when you all had met Raskin early on in like the first session, and I was building that character back in, I was like, oh, I don't remember what random voice I gave him, because Blue rolled to like meet him. Raskin, Baskin, I forget what I named him. Somebody's correcting me in the chat.
Raskin,
yeah.
All right.
But then who was it? No. There was a character
Baskin.
who referred.
No.
Was it I thought there was like, was it Moonswallow? I feel like there was somebody.
Yarth? Was it Yarth who
somebody
about?
Yeah, I don't remember.
Well, whatever it was, I clearly fucked it up. So there you go. It wasn't Yarth who messed it up. It was me. I feel like I got a really good piece of advice. I don't know who it was from, or like from the internet or something, about like character voices and having like like an archetype in your head almost, you know? And so that way you can like I'll sometimes put like, you know, this person, and like they are like the guy from Starfinder, or they are like like a bratty snake, you know what I mean? Like just two words that immediately can like put you in the direction of where you're supposed to go. So I find that very helpful, but also I try to limit the amount of NPCs in a scene to 2 as opposed to 30.
That's crazy.
And also, it was very funny to watch you be like, I learned something today.
I'm just impressed that you had all of those different NPCs except for the one like decided, because that's a lot of work, a lot of prep work to do.
Thank you. I mean, it goes back to when I first was playing D&D as a little kid, though. That was my favorite thing to do, was just create characters. So it's like when I'm doing any kind of prep work, I could spend any amount of time doing that, and it doesn't feel like a chore. It just feels like play. So, you know, and then so it's like, and then planting these seeds. And so I have plenty of NPCs that these guys haven't met yet too. Maybe they will meet them, maybe they won't. You know, it's fine with me either way. You never know.
Maybe we'll kill them.
Something I did this past week that there's things that I'm learning that dungeon masters do that, you know, it's really for our own enjoyment, and maybe our players might not ever like it or care. Yeah. But they ran into this clan of kobolds, and I named all of them.
That was amazing.
The naming of them was one of the most fun things I've ever done.
So like Dasher and Dancer and Prancer and Vixen.
Yeah. Well, it's always very fun when you can name a group of NPCs and give like one like Lokatha, like Miado Rajang, like Ethathok Mazak, and then one's just like Larry.
Yes.
Most of the best.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know.
Ian, have you in your head, have you sort of gotten that itch to try and get behind the DM screen and give it a shot? Is that sort of percolating, or is it? Are you...
It's so intimidating. Maybe after like another year of playing, but I'm not there yet. I'm not ready.
Okay. All right.
I'm gonna be a Padawan soon. Right now, I'm just...
You're still a youngling.
Yes.
All right. Well, chat. Somebody make a year countdown. So that we can,
from now. Hold me accountable.
It's so different. It couldn't be more different.
It really is.
They're both really super fun. They're just totally different.
Mm-hmm. I had a memory the other day that made me think about like us playing, and Anthony specifically about you DMing, was like for season 3 of Disco, like something that we did as a cast to sort of like bond like off of set was playing
Mafia?
Mafia. I was gonna say like murder.
We played murder.
We played murder.
That's essentially the name of the game.
We played Mafia, and I know that like Anthony, when he was like sort of like the DM for that game, he would just describe like things in like detail and, you know, like just sort of like set the scene, like say what, you know, it was raining the night before, and like he just like did a really good job of like visual and audio sort of like details about the scene. Yeah. And so then like it made sense when I found out that you were DMing, because I was like, oh yeah, he was really good at like creating, like setting the story in Mafia. Also, that game was so stressful.
It's stressful.
Yeah, Oyen, Emily, and Soneqa's husband Kenrick are absolute dead-eyed monsters when you play that
They're
game.
So good. Okay, and one time Soneqa and Kenrick were the Mafia, and like it was terrifying because like they just had like at the end, like when we found out that they were the Mafia, they just had these like evil smiles. They were like, and we got away with it too. Like they were too good at it.
So after you talked with Lorelai, you all made your way towards this house that Rufus's friend or enemy or rival, unclear at the moment, wanted to check out. What were you both thinking as you were making your way here? What did you expect compared to what you found? Or were you just sort of go ahead, Ian.
I mean, I don't know. I wasn't expecting there to be like a fight. Like I was just sort of expecting like, yeah, like there was gonna be a ghost there and maybe like some sort of like antique item with magical abilities, but I was not anticipating a fight. And then when you were describing like all the different doors, I was like, oh no,
we're in a dungeon. It's just a house.
What have we gotten ourselves into?
Amazing.
We had some terrible stealth.
Really bad. Yeah, this is something I also remember is you guys were rolling horribly to start.
Yeah.
Horribly.
It's so bad.
And I did like the pre-game rolls, and I was like, ooh, 17, 18. and then I'm more like 2, 4, 1. Yeah.
Let me see here.
It's like so embarrassing to be a rogue and to get a nat 1 on stealth, because it's like I had one job.
Yes.
I literally had one job.
That is so fun. Here's a question for you all. So sort of like, I feel like house or like, you know, like abandoned house is very much a setting. So subscriber Star Stuff, thank you for subscribing. Her favorite monster is an ice elemental because this one time we bound one and it ran the freezer of our ice cream shop. So,
oh boy.
It sounds
slavery?
cute. Yeah, it sounds cute at first, but then you've bound an ice elemental to a hell of working in a Ben and Jerry's. So you just exposed yourself, Star Stuff. I'm sorry.
Oh my goodness.
She asks, what are your favorite or most fun environments for a game setting, like a castle, urban, wilderness? You know, Anthony, your game is sort of set in a desert oasis. Mm-hmm. This is very much like sort of like NorCal forest.
I'm not sure I have a favorite place. I just want it to feel like alive and interesting. And yeah, full of sort of details and not generic. So it could be any particular setting per se for my money that, you know, in the stuff I've played. Yeah, it just has to feel, I want it to feel specific.
Ian, do you have a area that you sort of are most, that sort of perks your interest?
I think probably like forests, like anything with just like a lot of nature.
Yeah.
I can imagine that so vividly, and it's very pretty, and that's why it's really cool to be playing Tuyen, because he's just like used to being on a pirate ship all the time, like on the ocean, and so he's like experiencing nature, and like it's just like almost like this childlike wonder and joy of just like trees and flowers, and like it's really cute and wholesome.
When we were setting up for our our disco home game way back when, like, it started in a very small town and moved to the city, and I found like running a city is actually super challenging, because you really get the sense that you can go anywhere at any time. You sort of have to like have built every shop and NPC, because chances are they'll go back there, which I find really exciting, but also really challenging. And Anthony, of course, you understand, but it's like, oh my God, like I need to think of every shop that somebody could go to, that it could have any sort of meaning, So I find those cities are very challenging. And I read, oh damn it, somebody help me in chat. What is the campaign set?
Waterdeep?
No, the one that's in the ice, the north.
Oh, Rime of the Frostmaiden?
Rime of the Frostmaiden. I read that, and it got me really into kind of like an Arctic or like, far north campaign, because it sort of mixes like the smaller town vibe with like having to go. I really like that feeling of like having a home base and then going really far out away and sort of not knowing what's that, going back and coming back.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see I almost hesitate to say, because you're in the home game, but like setting a city inside of a desert, part of what I'm curious to see is what you guys are going to do in terms of navigating, if you can ever leave the city. And being in a desert is its own kind of unusual location.
Yeah.
And I don't even know why I came up with that, because I'm not like a desert lover per se, although I think deserts are really interesting. I've spent time, I did a film in a desert, stuff like that. So I think that they're fascinating places. Anyway,
I would never pick a desert, because it always makes me feel like hot and sandy. But that's why I'm enjoying it, That's why I get to play in it.
You hate sand.
I hate sand. This is the Pokemon Star Wars episode.
Yeah.
Maybe my psyche, like I was thinking of Tatooine way back in there. From like a formative image from my childhood,
There you go.
Aww.
So you met this ghost of a long lost assistant dean, which my dad thought was really funny and clever for some reason.
Why? Do you know?
He's just like, assistant dean next to me. Okay. Thanks, Dad. And you all went upstairs. Oh, you found the potion of fire breathing, which was very fun.
Ineffective. Yeah.
Was that the first puzzle we had done? Just a very simple, gotta find this lock combo puzzle?
I was thinking, do you ever play the video game Dishonored?
No, I've never played Dishonored.
It was so there are a lot of safes in that game, and it's very much about like finding where is the code scribbled,
It's and Ian, you may know this. I feel like it's also very Last of Us Part 1.
Yes.
Where you have to like find the scraps of paper and it's funny when you're DMing and you're creating a game, because you really want to make, your first impulse is like, let me make like an insanely complex puzzle where 1 equals A minus 4, and you're just like, want to make this huge codex, whatever, and then you're like, I think they'll probably have more fun just looking around for it than opposed to like doing a deep algebra problem to solve, like to get a potion. They're like, this sucks.
No,
I hated this.
If you made me do math, I would quit. I would give up.
Well, one of the great things about me trying to write any sort of math or word problem is that I'll almost always get it wrong. And so you almost always get a free path where, Anthony will be like, hey, Noah, that's not how you spell like open. And I'm like, the safe open. You guys figured it out. Because I screwed it up. You all made your way into this room where there were these two creatures there who you did battle with, which was, I sort of was like, you're level 3 now, kind of have a grasp of the style of the game and your characters and how the maps are going to look. Let's throw the first real challenging not challenging, but like thought out combat where this one being had the fear spell and had the whole person spell, and then the other one, could attack and sort of utilize that together. So it was like the first sort of built encounter. Thoughts, questions, concerns?
Well, I'm very concerned because poor Tisryn was almost murdered.
Yes. Anthony, would you like to go into... I mean, I tweeted this, but of course, one of the great things about having a DM is that they know the true danger that they're in.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like, when you're thinking about D&D, it's hard to visualize, like, oh, you get hit by a knife and your life energy drains out of you. It can be hard to put that in, but when you know mechanically, like, oh, if I get hit for one more point and I die and I fail a Constitution save, I'm dead. It definitely raises the stake, even if it is a little bit meta.
Yeah, because, normally you could be knocked unconscious and you could be either stabilized or do death saves, and you still might die, but it's a little more of a chance with something like this. The way that he hit me so hard in the one blow, it was a critical hit because I was paralyzed.
Yes, because the whole person took effect, and then so it was an auto crit, and he rolled really high on the damage dice as well.
And I don't have a ton of hit points. And so I was down to 1 hit point, but because of the nature of it, it's not that if I'd gotten hit again, normally I would have been knocked unconscious. But in this case, because when he hit, he also takes away your hit point maximum. So you can, it's mechanically means that if he took away my hit point maximum to 0, then I'm dead. Like there's no coming back from that. There's no healing from that. So I was very aware of it. And then he had Jeeps save me from being hit again. Because I was like, I'm paralyzed. Even if I save from paralysis, I could disengage.
Yes, you could have run away
from doing an attack of opportunity, or I could have rolled the dice and check, because I knew he was also getting low on health. That I could have tried to do a flurry of blows and knock him away from me, or stop him from having reaction and then leave.
Yes.
So I was thinking, what are the things I could do? But I know that not that Tisryn would know the mechanics of it, but Tisryn, I think,
he would know his abilities.
He's in great danger. Too.
Yes.
Like he's feeling really messed up. So so it's like the playing the understanding the mechanics, but also trying to be in the moment.
Yeah.
And aware that maybe he was going to die. I mean, it would have been possible.
Well, Ian, one of the things that saved Tisryn, along with Jeeps sort of stepping in between, was you running over and then nat-twatting the guy with the hold person spell.
Yeah, that was really lucky because I was rolling terribly up until that point. Like my virtual dice, because I wasn't even using like actual dice. I do have actual dice, but because I'm very terrible at math, I always get anxious that I'm gonna add up the modifiers wrong. So I just do it on D&D Beyond, and then I cherish my dice by looking at them. And just...
You mean you'll hoard them like a good dice goblin or dice dragon does?
Exactly. But yeah, no, I was so glad that I finally redeemed myself after rolling so terribly. I was like, oh, okay, one good roll. Okay, this is where it really matters. But I had a health potion or a healing potion, and I know that Blue also, Rufus had one. But I didn't quite understand that it wouldn't have worked. It wouldn't have helped Tisryn because his hit points was down to 1 total. Overall only 1 hit point. So I guess if I had an item that increased your hit points, that would have helped. But is there even an item that?
I mean, the only thing I could imagine in this situation that could have helped in that sense is when your bard character could give temporary hit points, so you could have gotten, but that's not really anything that's really feasible in that moment. You know what I mean?
Well, I have been considering multi-classing.
Whoa, big reveal today.
I mean, I think it's obvious because he's a theater kid. He's studying song and dance, so moving in that direction.
Okay, all right. We'll discuss.
Yes.
Very excited. That's why you were so excited to level up. Speaking of characters and reveals, next Sunday on the show, we're going to be joined by none other than Mary Chifo, who's going to join us as a guest appearance. Very excited for that. Mary played with us in Vegas, and so it'll be very fun.
What character did she play in Vegas?
What character?
She played a bard.
She played a bard. Who
very, very dramatic bard, very histrionic, and
she went full chiefo, as we like to say at Julie. She did full chief. She was in it. She was singing. She
She was very like emotionally ragged.
Very much like a bard who really wanted to get a call back.
Okay.
But I'm not sure what she will play this weekend. She and Blue are doing like a stage reading tonight. Go check it out. I'm sure it's posted on both of their like Twitters and Instagrams. So we haven't really had a chance to talk. I have some ideas, but I'm very excited for what Mary is going to bring to the table. And I feel like now that she sort of understands the game, she can, step into other parts of her personality, which is always very fun.
Yes.
So I'm excited.
Yay.
Okay, let's see. What other questions do we have here? Here's a question for me and Anthony, and Ian, you can jump in on this. This is from Kalana. Her favorite monster is a manticore. Who, Ian, you have a real history with manticores.
I do. I did ask a manticore out on a coffee date as my wood elf art.
The breadcrumbs were dropped from way back when all the way to Tuyen, asking people on just regular.
But I didn't feel like that was thirsty. That wasn't a thirsty.
It was like more wholesome.
Vivi
was more wholesome, and Tuyen is more not wholesome.
Can I tell you guys? I had this planned where so like the sort of culmination of our season 1 of our home game for Disco was fighting this zombie dragon at the top of like a giant storming tower and all this stuff. And I had a plan that if the dragon like would have picked one of you up and dropped you off the edge, which was sort of a possibility that just never arose for whatever reason, because I think it just blasted you with its breath first, that the manticore would have swooped in and picked you out of the air to save you. So it wasn't all for naught. It wasn't all for naught.
So that's a good DM, taking the seeds that were planted by
you worked very hard for that, and you kept bringing it up, so I was like, it's there. But of course you never got to experience that, so it was really just in my head until now. Is how much of your DMing is planned and how much are forced by the group to improvise? I'm curious, Anthony, where do you stand on sort of your improvise to planning scale?
Well, I feel like I have to plan I have to plan sort of general kind of ideas of locations, and then some need more detailing than others. But I don't have a planned outcome per se. Mm-hmm. There's certain triggering things that I do plan, like I don't know how else you could do it. Like if you guys were walking in the desert and I planned that you would run into that creature.
Yes.
So that's a plan, but then exactly how you get there or what you do along the way, that's all improvised. So it's a mixture.
Yeah.
And then the way that the encounter goes is entirely improvised, because
when you are DMing, do you like have in your mind like, here are the beats that we want to hit this session, or is it more just like, these are the things that if you go to this location it will trigger?
A little bit of both.
Yeah,
a little bit of both. And then because sometimes you guys would go in a whole other way, and I have I think of it as branches or webs. I try to have those strands, at least something there to build off of.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
I find, it's one of the thing is like, I find it's different and not different for like a streamed game, because in a game where, well, the other thing is like when I've been playing with you all, like I've always tried to be really cognizant of your time, especially when we were in Toronto, because it's like the one weekend off, and a lot of the time, like, you know, some of us, not all of us, but we're working like all the time, and so you don't want to have too much time that's just like, I don't want to call it dead air, but just sort of like open, loose time where you can get unfocused, you know? Although I do love that time as a player, but especially when you're like doing a live game, you kind of want to strike a different sort of balance, you know, especially like what we're doing, which is like a truncated season, you know. I love Critical Role and I love like the loose, free nature, but it's so much more applicable to like 4 or 5 hour sessions over 200 things, as opposed to like, you know, 2.5 hour sessions over 12 or whatever. So I find myself planning quite a bit. And
I think you have to for what you're doing.
Yeah.
It seems.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I find myself planning quite a bit because I'm always so nervous that like I'm always so nervous that we'll be like an hour 15 in and I'll be like, I didn't write anything else. Like, you guys did it. You won. Especially as you encounter more and more people, you don't sort of have to do like the reintroduction. You know, you don't have to get to know them. You just can like cut to the chase. So you sort of have to add more things in. But I definitely have overplanned quite a bit. And some of the stuff I'll take with me, and some of the stuff I'm just like, well, I can't use that because you just like walked by in a good way, where I was like, I didn't need to plan that because it was dumb and you should have walked by it. So good job not like making me be like, solve my riddle, friends, you know, which I do all the time. I'm curious, funny. You know, like I feel like in this game, and even comparing it to like our home game, Anthony, I feel like there haven't been too much of the characters sort of breaking off and like sort of going off to do their own thing at like a random location. I'm curious like where you guys sort of stand. Is that because it feels like just like the live stream or the time constraint where you just want to kind of stay on the track? Or is it just like, oh, you know, I'm still kind of getting to know the world and I don't know the other places to go? I feel like Ian with Tuyen, the stuff like immediately going into flirting with Ahmed, or even like starting to like plan his date, is like the first time where you're sort of pushing out of the confines of it. I'm curious to hear what you all think.
It's nice to have that like side quest, you know, like something that is happening throughout the episode, sort of on the back burner a little bit. It's like a slow burn situation. Because then, you know, when we have free time, you know, at the end of the session, I'm like, okay, there's like 10 minutes left. Let me go and flirt with Ahmed really quick.
Turbo flirting.
Plant the seeds for next episode.
Yeah, I don't think that Tisryn's necessarily wanting to be off on his own too much, except for
it's
like
partly the characters too,
of calisthenics and maybe some meditation, but like mostly wants to do stuff together.
It is also, I think maybe it is partly like that sort of college school atmosphere. You want to stick with your friends, you know what I mean? You don't really want to like have an adventure without people, whereas like a classic adventurer might be like, I've got this, I can handle this on my own. But in this sort of setting, I didn't think of that. That's very interesting.
Especially because Tisryn was almost murdered. So now it's just like, well, we don't want to lose you. So like, let's stay close. In case we need to defend.
I have noticed that Rufus's attitude towards Tisryn has started to shift the more danger that they've gotten into, which has been very nice.
Yes. Rufus is softer than he appears.
Yeah. Aww. We love Rufus. He at first was very much like self-preserving, but now it's like he cares about the safety of everyone. That's really sweet.
So speaking of things that I didn't get to, or that didn't come up, there was in the bookshelf, I had named some of the books that were there, so I'd like to read them.
Which bookshelf? In which place?
In the bookshelf in the where the bad guys were, where you fought the thing. Where
in the house.
In the house where Rufus found the arcane locks. I think I maybe even just skipped it because we were running out of time. But some of these names I wrote Okay, there was a book called Endless Longing, A Wizard's Lament. There was a book called Under the Halfling Moon. There's a book called The Lizard Men. Oh, The Lizard Men. And then there was a book called Be Happy When You Are Sad, a book revised edition. Stupid.
Did you create any authors of these books or no?
No, but I would have been like, Azimuth, the fifth Excalibur of the Dark Sword, and then for the next one been like Cheesehead. Yeah. Head. Ralph.
Yes. Would you have predicted that Tusk Love would have had the length of,
Tusk Love, man.
Like in Critical Role, Ian, there was a book, one of the characters went into a bookstore once, and so he just like said a name of one of the books was a cheesy romance called Tusk Love, and it became like referred to many times over the course of the campaign. Much fan art of the cover of that book.
Produced merch of the book.
Oh, wow.
It's really wild the way that some of these little tiny weirdo things that came up on the spot, maybe, or just
what was Mary's character, Guns of Passion.
Yes.
There we go. Yes, Guns
yes,
of
exactly.
Passion.
We have our version of that.
I think there is just a tradition in D&D of like naming books ridiculous things.
Yes.
And it's amazing. Guns of Passion. Really, really good name. Really good name. Also, that was something where I was like, I'm just going to make Mary come up with something. And
of course. Yes. Yes. And it was, instead of Herman Lerman, it's Sherman Gurman, right?
Yeah, Sherman Gurman.
Let's see here. I think that was pretty. Oh no! And then Tuyen. After that, you went to ask Ahmed Rast out on a date, and you decided to go with Ash May's Onion Restaurant.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about because like. Can you tell me a little bit about that decision or what Tuyen is thinking in that decision?
Tisryn definitely helped inspire that. It's like it wasn't even on my radar until Tisryn was like, this is a nice place to, maybe bring that guy on the date. And so I was like, I guess, it's like a cheaper than a restaurant, it's more fancy than just like walking around, because like
Sure.
I genuinely had no idea where I was going to take him. I was going to kind of just like wait a few more episodes to see if like a cool location popped up, like a I don't know, like what's it called, like that thing with the thing with like a little roof, and it's usually just in the middle
a gazebo.
of like a gazebo.
Yeah.
A gazebo or something, but I was just like, I don't know, nothing's really like popped out to me yet. But then Tisryn gave the idea to me, so I fully credit. I will give him credit. I'll be like, my friend
Amazing.
gave me the idea to come here.
Do you think that you're going to try and like pitch a menu or anything like that, or you just sort of give him a time and date and say, hit me with your best onion stuff?
Yeah, I think I'll let Ash May sort of take the reins, because he's sort of this budding master chef, and he seems really excited to cook for us. So I'll let him do that. And I also I'm not sure if Tuyen is going to pursue Ahmed, romantically, or if this is more of just like a trying to have fun for a one night stand situation. We'll see how it goes, and maybe there will be more. Maybe there's a budding romance there, or maybe it's just fun.
We do have a standing fade to black rule, so Ian, you can't try and role play your one night stand with this character. I'm fading to black.
I'm like, and then he unbuttons his shirt, and you're like, fade to black, fade to black, fade to black.
The computer, the internet's down. Well, the other thing,
my camera just suddenly cuts off and I get muted.
The other thing is that there are beloved boons which nobody has gotten yet, which are sort of like these sort of bonuses you can get if you move into the sort of beloved realm with the character. So that might be interesting to see if that happens as well.
And does that have to be romantic belovedness?
No. Beloved is really like the term that I picked from the Strixhaven book, but they're very clear, and I agree with it, where it's beloved can be platonic as well.
Sure.
Besties.
Exactly. It's more of like a just like a deep connection with another person that sort of affects you in almost like a magical way.
Yeah.
It's
nice.
Let's see. Yeah, I was very excited by that. I was very excited to make you have to do the date so that I didn't have to write it, but also to see what you came up with. It's good. I like it.
I was considering, so like Tuyen did go off and pick some flowers, and I was considering giving them to Ahmed, but then I chose that like Tuyen was just doing that for himself. Because I was like, that's more of like a second date thing to do rather than like, at least for Tuyen, because he's sort of a player a little bit, so he's not gonna like.
Sorta.
He is a player.
I love it.
He's not gonna like, try to sweep Ahmed off of his feet in the first date. He's just sort of being casual, seeing how it goes, and then seeing if there's more there, if the chemistry is great, or if it's just, we'll just leave it at that.
Wow. Okay. All right. This is good to know. I like that. I like that Tuyen is just like, no, I am a player. Do you think Tuyen will bring that to his dinner with Ahmed?
Possibly. I guess, it could be a little bit of a just like, oh, just so you know, like you're not the only one I've been flirting with. Because that is a true statement.
That is true. Yeah, that is true. That is true.
That is a true understatement.
What do you say? Why don't we pick some new classes? How does that sound? Some new courses, not classes. Let me text the group real fast. I'm going to text the group. And in the meantime, hold on. Let me make sure this is live. Yes.
Class view.
Hold on. Here we go. Class view is up. And thank you to everyone in chat for all the gifted subs, the community subs, and the bits and the hype train. Absolutely jamming right now. I love it.
Hype train.
Thank you.
Oh, wow.
All right. So again, we have What Lies Above, telescopic lenses, futuronic probabilities in the present, constellations, windows to the past, the natural world and its gifts, dwelling engineer. Well, I guess I should have taken that one off. Well, it's probably still on the list. You can certainly try and take it.
Oh,
Crest
dear.
doesn't have a class. Resurrection without diamonds, circadian rhythms, sleep, dreams, and dance, stage lighting, the Jester and the Mask, text analysis. Oh my God, people are just blasting hype trains out. We've got a real battle going on between John and Jenny. We appreciate you both so much. Thank you all, friends. Thank you all. And for those of you who are getting gifted subs, please make sure to join our subscriber-only Discord. It's a good place in there. And we've also got top-notch taverns, safe shopkeeping, and indestructible inns, estate management and ruin avoidance techniques, gold, a history, and exotic treasures, items, scrolls.
What lies above?
Tomes. What lies above? What lies above with Anatolis. Wow. All right. So we have our first foray into Astromundi. Very exciting.
Aside from, what was his name, Mark?
Well,
Didn't he say he was like
there.
switching to Astromundi College? But we haven't seen it yet.
Exactly. And to answer your question, Jenny, Chris doesn't have a class. I don't know why. Nobody knows.
Oh, just like the empty quotation.
Empty quotation.
Cress.
Cress. Which one's
Keelan
Cress
College.
Cress was the one that you did Beasts and Monsters with and failed.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
All right, we're going back to our view.
I would like to take Circadian Rhythms, Sleep, Dreams, and Dance with Galaxica because dreams is a reoccurring theme here.
Wow. Okay.
And dance is something Tuyen is looking to study. So.
All right. And we're not sure what Blue will take, but we will be surprised on the day. We don't know what Mark has become an incredibly popular character, which is just
Never know.
I just decided to also make them the most generic being that I could, just sort of all browns, hair, shoes, clothes, just really regular stuff.
Yep.
All right, hold on. What else was there? Did I miss anything? somebody, hold on.
We had the moon swallow. No, that was the last.
That was
session.
last time.
Yeah.
I think that's just about everything. I think thank you everyone for all your questions. We didn't get to them all, but we will keep approaching them as we move forward. I'm excited. What do you all hope for, expect in the next session? What's on your mind for next session? I guess with Mary Chifo coming in, who knows what to expect?
Yeah, that's the big question.
I forgot.
Yeah,
I'm super excited. Does she want us to know like who she's playing, or is it going to be a mystery?
I think it'll be a mystery because I don't think she knows who she's playing yet. So it's even a mystery to me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm excited for the date if there's time for it. It just sort of depends on how the session goes.
You have to talk to Ash May first and kind of let him know that it's coming.
Yes.
Although it would be very funny if you both just
showed up. He's like, oh, okay.
Well, there is so much more to talk about and discuss, but we'll just have to wait until next episode. And thank you all for being here. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for gifting all these incredible subs. We really appreciate it. And thank you all for being so awesome in chat. We'll see you all on the subscriber Discord and see everyone on Sunday for our game.
Sunday fun day.
All right, friends. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you Sunday. Bye.